Hi guys, so the first thing we're going to be doing is making our own burgers and burger buns. So the first thing you need to do is you need to weigh out all your ingredients. So that would be 100 milliliters of milk, 25 grams of butter, 250 grams of plain flour, half a tablespoon of sugar, 3.5 grams of fast action dried yeast, half an egg beaten, and for optional, sesame seeds if you want to put it on top of your burger bun once it's made. Okay, so first thing you want to do is you want to get yourself a pan, add in your milk and your 50 grams of water, bring that to hit the heat on a medium heat. And let that get to a boil, which shouldn't take that long. Whilst that, you add your 25 grams of butter, and you just let that simmer. Okay, so as you can see, the butter's started to melt away on a medium heat. So just whisk it through, just so when you start to heat up the milk, it starts to put a film over the top of it. So if you just mix it through to get rid of all like the lumps, if there is any, just so you can work it all together. Once you've done that, you can add your sugar. Mix that further in. Okay, now it's came to the boil. As you can see, it's a vigorous boil. That means it's bubbling constantly. Just give it a further whisk just to make sure there's no skin or layers on top of it. Once that's done, you can turn off the heat, let it cool down. Once it's at a mild temperature, roughly around about say 37 degrees, you can add your yeast in, because if you add it now, chances are you're gonna kill the yeast because of the high temperature. So we're going to let this cool down first, and then I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, whilst we're waiting for the butter and the milk to cool down, so we're going to start making the actual burgers. So first thing you want to do is you want to cut this end of the onion, not this end of the onion. If you cut this end, you're allowing it to bleed into the onion, and then you'll start crying very quickly, very rapidly. So straight off, down through the centre, scar that, peel off the sides, removing the layers of skin until you get a nice clean outer shell. Remove all the skin. Okay, so then the next step, what you want to do is that you want to, with your knife, with your knuckles, carefully slice through the onion. And then sideways through the onion. So that means you can get nice small dice cuts. Try and do 3 through the side, and then with your knuckle keep it careful in line and just slice it, and then obviously you get your nice fine dice. Okay, once you've done that, you clean down your work surface and cleaned your knife and all that. You want to grab yourself some parsley. That's what I like to put inside my burgers. You want to pick off all the stem, making sure you just have the leaf. If not, you just have that like quite bittery taste when you go to pull it together. Okay, so once you've done that, bunch it together, so literally into a ball. Try not to put too much pressure on it, because if you put too much pressure and cut it too many times, you'll start to bleed and it starts to come through onto a chopping board. So it's like a one cut only. So making sure that you cut it very fine and at once. Done. So all you want to do right now is you would have tugged your onions and your parsley. Just set them aside right now because you're not going to need them at this point in time. I like to also put a bit of horseradish and a bit of mustard with mine, so it adds a bit of flavour. And then obviously you also had your seasoning, your salt and your pepper. Make sure you have yourself a set of scales, and obviously you're going to need yourself a burger presser. Some people like to use egg to bind it together. Some people like to use breadcrumbs as well. But from what I found out, if you use just the right amount of mustard and horseradish and then bind it together, it holds quite well. But obviously if you put too much, the mustard starts to bleed through the mincemeat as well as the horseradish. So you've got to make sure you have your quantities correct and weighing out correctly. So the butter and the milk is now cooled down. We've probed it. It reads at 37 degrees. That is lukewarm for the correct temperature for yeast. All you want to do now is pour it together. I've already done that. Then all you want to do is grab yourself a whisk and mix it together, just so you can work it all in. Once you've done that, allow say 3 to 5 minutes for the yeast to activate and start to work. It'll start to froth up inside. Once it's done that, you can pour it into your plain flour that you would have sieved. And then all you got to do is bind it together. So that means you've got to either get yourself a fork, make yourself a little well in the middle, and then fold it through, or you can do the other option, just pour it all in and then bind it together with your hands. What I like to do now is pour in your milk and your butter. Once the yeast is activated, just pour it in gradually at a time. Grab yourself a fork, mix it all together. Okay, so once you've kneaded it together for 10 minutes or so, it should start to look like this, where there's quite a little bit of elasticity left in it. So what you want to do is with the palm of your hands, push it in, and then it should start to make a nice smooth coat on the top. Once you've done that, all you got to do is put it into a bowl and allow it to prove for 45 to an hour, just so it grows in size. That's what I like to do. So whilst your dough is proving, you can now go grab your mincemeat. Now you can use your chopped up onions that you would have done. Just add those in. Make sure you get every bit out. Add your parsley. Grab yourself a spoon. I would say perhaps 2 teaspoons of each. There we go. Grab your salt and pepper. And remember to season, but also make sure you don't add too much or it'll be too strong. Then all you want to do is work it with your hands, grab all the mince and bind it all together. So now you've binded it all together, it should look like it's all stuck together, which it does. It's quite nice, quite bit firm, which is good. That means it ain't gonna fall apart when we go to cook it. So now all you want to do is grab yourself a burger presser. And what you want to do is either, depending on how big, thick you want the burgers, either you can go 4 ounces, 8 ounces. So I like to go for a 4-ounce burger. So I've got my scales here, I've laid down my foil, so that means no meat goes onto my chopping board, so I know that I'm being cleanliness and no contamination with the chopping board, because I use it with other things as well. So all you've got to do is grab your bit of mince that you've worked and put the scales on. So that's 5 ounces, so a little bit off. There we go, 4-4, done. You don't need to press it just yet. Just weigh them out, because that means there's no problems. You might have to take a bit from another one. That's 3, so it needs a little bit more. There we go. So that's, I'll finish off doing this and I'll see you lot in a minute. So I've done these 3, the others are sitting on the side, I'll finish them off in a minute. So all you got to do, so they're 4 ounces each, get your burger presser and literally just press down. And make sure it's firm and locked into place, and then you're done. And then obviously push down and lift up, and there you go, that's 4-ounce burger done. So we'll do it for these 2. Okay, we'll set that to the side. Okay, we've got about 4 minutes left on our dough to prove. Our burgers are in the fridge, chilling out. So the next step, all you want to do is get 1 egg, crack it on your side, pull it into a nice cup, whisk, then all it is, just whisk it together. So we can see from the other recording that our dough has risen quite well. So all you got to do now is grab yourself a tray. I've already done mine. Bit of foil, bit of parchment. Put that to the side. Grab yourself Scotch scraper, as I like to call them. And then all you want to do is divide it into equal quantity. So, okay, each one weighs around about 150 grams. They came in about just under 500. So all you want to do now is just start to press it and push it out. Then use the palm of your fingers like this and just put it together. Do the same with the other one. Making sure that you've got a nice smooth coating. So then when it rises in the oven, it won't, how do I say, expand on different areas, and then when you pull out the oven, you've got an odd shape of a bun. Okay, so I've put my dough buns onto my tray. I've got my brush, my egg wash. So when you do this, you want to be very careful, because if you were to dip it in and then wipe it around the sides straight away, you don't want all the egg sitting on the bottom, because when it bakes, then you've got a crispy egg round the side, and it's not that pleasing. So what you want to do is grab it, remove off the excess egg. Okay, so I've got my sesame seeds. All you got to do, don't need a lot, only a little. Grab a pinch, sprinkle. That's it. Same for the next one. Done. And then in the oven for 20 minutes, and we'll see how they come out. So what you want to do now with your burger is you want to get your bit of oil in your pan, get it onto high heat so the oil's nice and hot. Because what you want to do is that you want to seal both sides as quick as possible, because if not, when you start to move it around, it starts to break. So once that gets to high heat, I'll add in my burger. Okay, so the oil's quite hot now, so all we can do now is turn it down gradually. So for the safest way, grab your burger, lay it away from you, and you should hear that nice sizzling. So that now we're starting to add colour to the bottom. leave it there for say 2 minutes or so, just so you add some colour, and so we can seal the bottom. So once you've left it for 2 minutes or so, it would have started to add colour at the bottom. You will start to get things starting to fall off it because it starts to stick to your pan. So don't worry about that. All you want to do is carefully lift it up, hold it, and lay it away from you. And then just leave it for another further 2 minutes or so, just so you can seal both sides. And then all you got to do is just cook the insides. So that'll take 7 minutes or so because they're small burgers. Okay, so that's both sides sealed. All we're doing is just cooking it through now. So you can leave it on a medium heat, so it doesn't burn the underneath. And then all you want to do is just keep turning it now and then. So that means the heat can go through both sides of it. So what you want to do next is grab yourself a bread knife, and then just cut it straight down the middle. And there you go, it's ready for your burger. All I want to say is show you quickly, when I spoke about when you put too much egg, it comes down the side, see? Then you get a nice golden colour here. So all you want to do next is just grab your burger. I would add tomatoes and onions and lettuce and all that, but at this point in time I'm just here to show you how to make the bun and the burger in itself. So all you do is lay it on top, and then you just add your top, and then that's literally it. A homemade burger, homemade bun. All you got to do is garnish it. You can decorate it a bit more. If you had skewers, you could put it straight through the centre to keep it all together, and then you can add layers, cheese and stuff like that. That is literally all it is. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like this video. Thank you very much.